Hi guys, I'm here with Karyn Calabrese from the Karyn Group, and she has been a huge influence on not only us but on the whole raw food movement. We're very grateful for her to spend some time with us to share a little bit about her journey.
Hi, Natalie. This is very exciting for me. Anytime I get the chance to spread the word or help spread the word, it's my biggest mission in life. So thank you.
Karyn, you're so much more than a raw foodist. You're perhaps more aptly described as a holistic healer and teacher.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's more than just being a raw foodist. In fact, I don't like to use labels in general. I've created spaces in my life to help people bridge throughout the entire journey, because it isn't just about being a raw foodist or being a vegan or being a vegetarian. It's finding a journey that works for you to take you to your next best spot in life. So I don't like to label people with, this is what you're going for. There is a journey, and it should definitely be a joyful journey.
Karyn, you've been an integral part of the raw food community now for well over 35 years. Can you take us back to where it all started for you in the beginning?
Well, where it started for me is very interesting, because I started with Dr. Ann Wigmore, who is more or less the beginnings for all of us in this this portion of it in our lifetime. There were hygienists and Shelton and people before her, but Dr. Ann Wigmore brought it to the forefront during our time. So I was actually her student. I was a vegetarian for many years. I actually started out as a meat eater, but I was a vegetarian, and I was pretty comfortable in that position, but I was still searching, because I didn't feel as I knew I could. I had a lot of illness in my family, and I wasn't the healthiest, strongest person myself. And so I met Dr. Ann Wigmore, and she introduced me to the raw movement, and it was like my whole life changed. It was like going from being a meat eater to a vegetarian, from a vegetarian to a vegan, from a vegan to a raw foodist. Each step along the way took me incredibly leaps and bounds into how I looked, how I felt, how I thought. It really translated into every aspect of my life. So I started with Dr. Ann Wigmore, who kind of started it for us. I feel very fortunate in that. And it just kind of blossomed from there. I have the longest standing raw food restaurant in the country, probably in the world, actually, because I came directly through her. I have to say, when I look back, it's been very difficult, although I have the type of personality that I don't realize I'm in a mess until I'm past it and I look back. But especially starting here in Chicago, the meat and cheese dairy capital of the world, it was extremely difficult to get people interested and involved in what I was doing. In fact, my first restaurant said gourmet raw foods, and people just walked by. But once I took the sign off that said, and just said good fresh food, then we got people involved. And then when I started teaching classes, because to me that's the basis for our movement, is educating people. So when I started the education process, it started to change.
Absolutely. What would you say were the noticeable benefits in your health when you made this change to a different lifestyle?
Oh wow, my energy levels, my sleep patterns, the fact that no illness, no sickness. I mean, I can talk about the benefits 35 years later. I've been a vegan 45 years, but the benefits 35 years later, which I think your listeners should really be interested in. What's going to happen to me along the way? I'm 67 years old. I don't know what illness is. I don't know what tiredness is. I have no wrinkles, no lines. I mean, I do have wrinkles, but not what a typical 67-year-old person would look like. I have the same body I had at 18. I work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. I take a professional advanced ballet class with girls 18 and under. Don't you think you want to join my team? Because I'm not special. This is what I need your listeners to understand. I'm not special. We all have this capability. We are self-regenerating organisms, and the only reason you're getting tired and sick and old is because you're putting too much of the wrong material in and not enough of the right material in. And the whole reality is it's cause and effect. You can't get away from it. So what have I enjoyed? I don't know what illness is. I don't know what sickness is. And I get 25-year-old guys still hitting on me.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it? That's fantastic. Karyn, you're 67 years of age, and you look many years younger than that. What would you say is the key to your looking so youthful?
I would say that having an open mind, allowing myself continued education, you never arrive. Yes, I have the label of raw foodist, but I think the primary thing is I cleanse and detox my body a minimum of 4 times a year. Minimum. People would say, well, why would you do that? You're raw foods, you're vegan, you don't drink, smoke, do drugs, why would you? Because I'm living in a very bizarre world where it isn't we aren't supposed to be living under the conditions we're living in, the oxygen levels, the atmosphere, the chemicals. We're dealing with it on a continual basis, even if you're eating organic foods, even if and here in the United States, we have it a little worse than you do in your country and other countries. We have genetically modified foods. Even if I'm eating organic, the corn is genetically modified. So for me, the key, my number one key, is I cleanse and detox my body a minimum of 4 times a year to break down those layers of toxicity that I'm building up without even trying, just by being alive.
So how would you go about doing that, Karyn? Would you choose fasting?
Well, I just happen to have a book about it.
Oh, wow.
And I have a book about it. It's called Soak Your Nuts. But you don't have to use my form of cleansing and detoxing. There are many roads to the top of the mountain. I truly believe that. I truly believe in mine, and it's based a lot on what Dr. Ann Wigmore taught. And I certainly don't believe that you should be eating steak and fries one day and juice fast the next day. I think there's a process involved. And I think finding a good teacher, finding a good process or program that resonates with you. And I will add one little disclaimer: I wouldn't go to a sick nutritionist, I wouldn't go to an overweight trainer, I wouldn't go to a bald hairdresser. So whomever you choose for your learning, I would make sure they resonate with what you're trying to get. But find a good cleansing and detoxing program. And yes, I have one available too.
So this has been your journey for the past 35 years. What would you say is the key to maintaining this for so long?
Well, I'll start out with, it's actually been my journey for 45 years. I've been a vegan 45 years. I've only been in the raw food world for the past. So I think that's the key, finding bridges that you can continue to cross comfortably, setting goals, setting intention, and surrounding yourself with as much of it as possible, which is why I've created 3 restaurants, a wellness center, a school, and I continually bring people in because humans are very wolf-like. We're tribal. We like to be and do like the people around us. So the more you surround yourself with it, the easier the journey will be, the more you continue to educate yourself. Because even though I've been doing it so long, Victor Kalvinskis is one of my teachers. I go hear him speak every chance I can. You never get it. You understand that it's a continual process as long as you're alive and you're in this whirlpool of a negative gravitational pull to go in the other direction. You've got to kind of keep clawing your way in the other direction and find all the positive aspects that you can to keep you on your journey, your path. But I think the other thing too is for your listeners to realize that there is no perfection. There is no right or wrong or yes or no or good or bad. And as you follow your journey, whatever backward steps you take, you just go, it's part of my process, and keep moving forward. And don't judge yourself and don't judge others.
What an incredible commitment you have made to share this with others. What do you think has been your greatest motivation to do so?
You're not going to like this answer. Me, taking care of me. It's all for me. I make myself number one. I create everything for me, and then I just share it with everyone else. This is the only thing we have control over.
That's self-love, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We only have control over ourselves, and if you put everything into you, you can't help but have the shoulders big enough to help others. That's what does it, taking care of me. But the world is circular, so as I take care of myself, I can't help but take care of other people also. It's just part of the process.
Karyn, we've now had the pleasure of dining at 2 of your restaurants.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Can you tell us a little bit more about your therapy centres and restaurants?
Yes. Well, the first restaurant that I opened was a raw food restaurant because that was for me. But I quickly realized that people weren't going to go from Kentucky Fried Chicken to raw foods. And I realized that people needed a bridge. And at the time, Chicago had very few they had 3 vegan restaurants. The rest were a few vegetarian. So I opened up a cooked vegan restaurant. And then that got so popular that I opened up a third cooked vegan restaurant. But both of the restaurants actually have a lot of raw foods in them. You know, they just aren't primarily raw. And my thinking there is I'm like the Salvation Army. They give you free food and teach you religion. I'm going to give you your cooked food and booze and teach you how good raw foods can be. It's bringing you into the fold in a comfortable way, in a way that makes you feel comfortable about the change. So those were my first endeavors. But then I started teaching detox classes, and I also realized that people needed, because you need some unusual things to find balance in this unusual world. So I created a wellness center to go along with the detox program, because I don't believe you should ever do any type of fasting without some kind of colon cleansing. So I started out with the colon cleansing, and then I got infrared saunas, and then I got a hyperbaric chamber, and then I got ozone therapy, and then I realized I like to get my nails done every so often, so I did an organic mani-pedis, and we do facials. So it's really, once again, all for me, all the things. I have an organic manicure, facial, makeup and skincare line. So it's just trying to give some semblance of balance in this bizarre chemicalized world that we're living in, so people can step into a whole different framework of how they can live. And you know, I'm a girl, I don't want to give up makeup.
Yeah. Soak Your Nuts. What a great title for a book.
You. Makes you smile, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And I don't want people to be so serious when they get into this world. Laughter is just as important as the right kind of food, a light heart. So I named my book Soak Your Nuts because I knew you wouldn't forget it. You wouldn't forget the title. I also figured guys wouldn't be embarrassed to carry it around. You know, I can soak my nuts. Women wouldn't think they were too soft. And but it's basically about a detoxification program process. It's a lot of testimonials from people that have done my classes and the results that they've gotten. There are some recipes in there. And there is a reason for soaking your nuts, because you break down the enzyme inhibitors and the fats in them, and you make them easier to digest. So I'm teaching there at the same time. And then my publisher wanted me to do a recipe book, so we decided to title it the same thing. But the recipe book is cooked and raw, so it's half cooked, half raw, 2 different books in one, and the third one is in the making, so stay tuned.
Raw Foodist of the Year, TV commercials, the Oprah Winfrey Show, and you've just done Steve Harvey as well. You've managed to achieve so much. What more lies in the future for Karyn?
What more lies in the future? Well, I've decided that I don't want to open any more restaurants. That's for sure. That's a lot of work. A huge commitment. So and a lot of stress. So what I've gotten involved with is distribution. So far in the Chicago area, we are in about, we've got a commitment from 7 stores, 8 stores. We're in 4 right now. We're getting ready. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my food in other stores. So where people are going to shop to get their regular food or whatever they're getting, they're going to see our little raw food sitting right there and go, gee, let's take this home and try it without too much of a commitment, you know, driving all the way here. So distribution. I've also created a new ice cream that I'm so proud of. Makes you feel like you're having Dairy Queen or bad for you ice cream, and there's no soy, no cream, no dairy, no sugar, and we do a nut-free one also. So I'd like to open up some ice cream shops. As I said, I'm working on my 3rd book. It's going to be a recipe book also. And do I have any more time? I don't know. I think I'm keeping myself pretty busy, and you know, I don't see an end to it. I plan on being around for about 120 years, so I can just continue to reinvent myself. You know, maybe I'll come live in Australia for a while, or in Europe.
Please.
Who knows? I see no limits to where I want to go with my life.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Karyn. It's been such a delight to meet you and to listen and share some of your journey.
And bless you for letting me be a part of rawfoodforlife.org. This is amazing work that you're doing. The more of us on the team together, the better world it's going to be for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.